sponsored by Computeach.
We're back at Shakespeare County Raceway. My name's Paul Venners, and now we're going to have a look at the Street Eliminator Series. It's an amazing class where the cars are taxed, MOT'd and insured. They're fully road legal. They can reach speeds of 185 miles an hour in just 8 seconds dead.
Yeah, just some of those incredible facts. First car out on the track then is Colin Lazenby in the 1956 Chevy 210 sedan, matched up against Ron Hazlitt in his Ford Cortina Estate. Huge engines in these cars. The Chevy has something like 11 litres under the bonnet, plus lots of nitrous oxide to help things along. Wow, what a burnout. And evocative images of Mark III Cortinas. Fantastic stuff. So, getting ready for some action here at the Shakespeare Nationals. The problems for Ron Hazlitt as he's pushed back, so it's a solo run for Colin Lazenby. Colin is, of course, the reigning class champion and also holds the speed record for the class. Would you believe it? 183 miles an hour just after just 8.1 seconds. Incredible stuff. Alan Sims is coming out for the first time this year with a totally new engine set up in the red Vauxhall Cresta. He's up against the Capri of Jerry Charles. Alan has upped his engine size dramatically and realistically will be happy just to get a few good straight runs down the track. But that's a superb opening run. So after a quick check over in the pits, the cars come round for the next round of qualifying. The gas jets and nitrous oxide as the system is purged before the launch. And let's see how they do. But problems for Colin Lazenby there. The parachute popping out halfway down the track, that must have slowed him down. Back in the pits, we'll see that it is quite a complicated process to actually pack these things, as we can see here the crew desperately trying to set it up for the next run. So, on his previous run, Colin got a lot of tyre shake on the start, which caused the chute pin to pop out. Let's see if he does better this time round. Fantastic stuff. Obviously no problems this time. Alan Sims again in the Cresta now, and he's up against Jerry Charles in his Ford Capri. Both cars putting down storming burnout. Being street legal, these cars have to use fully treaded tyres rather than slicks, so getting them hot and sticky is very important. And at the end of this qualifying session, we wonder who the #1 spot is going to go to. Bear in mind, they're fully road legal cars. We're expecting another fantastic run. And they're off. Let's speak to Jerry in the pits now.
It's an entirely street legal class. These cars actually have to go out on the roads as part of their qualifying for the class. We're here with Jerry, and Jerry has owned this particular Capri for quite a long time. Jerry, exactly how long have you owned it?
Approximately about 23 years now. This year would make, basically. Originally it was a 3-litre gear, automatic, and obviously in the last 5 to 10 years it's had a big engine in, being fitted in now by Andy Robinson and Dave Pollen and company, and that's basically it.
Well, you say a big engine, just how big an engine is it?
It's nearly 12 litre basically.
12 litres, so it's 4 times the size it was when you originally bought it.
Yeah, literally 4 times the size. Power-wise, probably a bit more than 4 times the size. It's approximately about 12 to 1300 horsepower aspirated, and it's got round about the same sort of torque figures as well. And we do drive it actually on the street.
It is mind-boggling figures, and it's a big effort to keep this car at the track and driving around on the road. I know you've got quite a few sponsors that have literally, without them, you wouldn't be here this weekend. And one of them's quite well known.
Yes, it's DJ Spoonie, which is my nephew, and I'm his uncle, obviously. But one day he will make it to the track, he's promised me. He's helped me very much in the last 2 to 3 years with the money side of it, getting the car together, and he's never actually seen the car personally in real life. But also I have to thank as well all my other sponsors, TNS Tyres, which is Tony and Sharon, and TCR Motors, which is Roy Phelan, and obviously all my crew, Dave Pollan, John Hoffman, Roger Cassidy, and my new crew, his name's Ben, from TNS Tyres' son. Basically, and then obviously everyone else has helped me, between Andy Robinson and Rob Loring, the whole lot, basically.
Well, you did have a terrible year last year, lots of transmission breakages. I know you got to the bottom of that, and that was again with more help from another friend. But tell me, what's it like now to come out and be able to run? Well, tell us the numbers you run first.
Well, we've come out this year, we've had a full rebuild on the engine, which Fred Holmes has done for me, and done a lovely job. We actually detuned it, and it's actually running better at the quarter mile, which it is now running 8.4 at 170 mile an hour approximately.
Okay, this is a street legal car that you can drive down to any particular shop you might choose, and it will get from one end to the other a quarter mile strip in 8.4 seconds at bonkers miles an hour.
Basically, yes, 170 mile an hour.
Well, we're sticking with Street Eliminator. It's 8:30 at night. The guys have just got back from the cruise. We're underneath the flickering lamps inside the pit area. The guys have still got a couple of hours of work to do on the car, and we're going to have a word with the reigning champion, Colin Lazenby. Drag racing traditionally is seen as a driver's sport. It's the driver at the wheel in a car going fast, but of course we know it's so much more than just the driver. It's such a huge effort from the crew, and quite often the family, and you're a classic case in point. The whole family come down, and it's a long trip for you. How long does it take to get to the track?
On a good run, 8 hours.
And that is because
It's so far.
And you currently reside somewhere middle to top of Scotland, I believe.
Yeah, it's central Scotland in Stirling. It's this track's a bit easier on us, but only by half an hour or so. I think this is 3:57. I think Santa Pod's 3:87.
That's miles to do.
Ah.
It is one heck of an effort. So how does, well, firstly, who is your family, and how do they sort of mould into the team?
My wife Anne-Marie is also membership secretary for the Street Eliminator, and our son Bradley obviously comes with us as well. My brother and his wife come along and have done for the last 2 years. They enjoy it. They all muck in. They all have their own jobs and pretty much stick to them. Makes a big difference, Paul.
It is a huge undertaking to keep the car running, but of course to keep the car running you've got to keep the crew running as well. And if we look behind us here, we've got a splendid barbecue and a rather fancy spread. I mean, you'd be happy to pay good money for that in a restaurant. How important is somebody looking after the people who are looking after the car?
I would think it's vital. We tend to eat last, and I guess when the guys put a bad tune in the car, they don't eat at all. And if I make a crap job of driving, I don't eat either. I think without the support of my family, if my family didn't come to the events, I probably wouldn't come, but more so if the crew didn't come, if they lost interest in it, so would I. We couldn't run this car without either, I guess. I don't do any of the tunes in the car. The lads discuss it amongst themselves. They get it right 9 times out of 10 at least. And I guess I probably get driving right, probably only 7 out of 10. They maintain I'm basically only there for ballast.
Well, that's fair enough, I suppose, if that's the way you want to look at it. Well, we've seen now it's not just down to the driver, it's down to all the guys who are working hard on the crew and the people looking after them.
Yes, always a team effort. And so on to eliminations. There's Ian Hook sat in his car waiting his turn to come round to the line. But first up, it's going to be Jerry Charles in the Capri, and he's racing Alan Sims in the red Cresta. Although they faced each other several times in qualifying, this time it's for real. Don't forget, it's Alan Sims' first time out after fitting a new engine package. It used to be Rover powered, but now he's gone up to a much bigger Chevy engine. So let's see how they do then, pitted up against each other. Fantastic looking Capri, fantastic looking Cresta. And he launches hard and the car drives good and straight. He'll be very happy with that run, almost getting through to the next round, but Jerry will be even happier, winning through with a 9.201 run. Now we're on board with the number 1 qualifier, Ian Hook in his 34 Ford, and Ian's starting his burnout. Just look at the smoke inside that car. Ian is racing the orange Cortina of John Walden, a new competitor out this season. John's family actually owned this car right back in the 1970s as a regular shopping car, though it wasn't quite as fast as it is today. Off the line then, it's Ian Hook all the way. And he's booking his place in the semi-finals. So, moving into the semi-finals, and it's Colin Lazenby with a storming burnout. And he'll be facing Jerry Charles in the Capri. So let's see how they do. Reverse back into position, making sure they cover those burned out tyre tracks to give them maximum traction away. But Jerry's pulled a red light. And that gives Colin the automatic win. Jerry must be kicking himself on this one because it looks as though he almost had the reigning champion covered. So the second semi-final is a bye run for Ian Hook, so that means the final is going to be Ian Hook and Colin Lazenby, and that'll put in a bit of controversy because there is a difference of opinion in the class at the moment about which tyres are best and which ones should be allowed. Look at that time.
You never knew you were going to have such a good weekend.
No, it has been a very good weekend. Been a very strange one as well, with only having the one qualifying pass. And as you say, spending part of Saturday at the dentist, but car's sorted, I'm sorted. Just got to try and do the business out there now.
So is A2 where you're happy, or have you got a bit more to squeeze out of it yet?
I was hoping we'd have gone a bit quicker than that, but we don't seem to be hooking up as well as we were at the Thunderball. I mean, all our gains this weekend have come in the second half, which is courtesy of the nitrous system.
Are you feeling confident?
As confident as I ever get. My crew will tell you I've never ever missed a confident. I'm always thinking things are going to go wrong, but I'm about as confident as I ever get.
Now, you've had a very interesting hit and miss weekends. Problem with the tyres and tyre shake. The 60 foot's not good. The best you posted so far, an 8.4, I think. And Ian, of course, has run an 8.2. How are you feeling coming into the final?
Well, you've got to be impressed with the 820, Paul. Ian's run a couple. This isn't a race between SE34 and SE1. This is a race between the choice of tyres.
So we're into the final, and Ian Hook is ready. The engine's running and rolling round to the start of the track. Colin Lazenby then fires up the engine and goes into his burnout. And a huge pro mod style rolling burnout from Colin. So Ian then waiting until the Chevy is almost back to the line before he starts his own burnout. And there it is. Lots of smoke. And again we can see that fantastic smoke-filled image. Both cars then edge to the line, making sure they're positioned on the freshly laid down rubber tracks. Again, the nitrous systems are purged. And they're off, but wheel spin for Colin off the line. He chases hard, but Ian holds on to the lead and takes the win. In the replay then, we can see both cars leave at the same time. Ian Hook launches hard, but Colin just can't seem to get the car moving for the first 100 foot. Now inside with Colin Lazenby, and just listen to the engine note as it goes up and down as the tyres spin and grip on the track. But a well-deserved win for Ian. Right now we return to Top Fuel Bike, but this time it's the world of the Super Twins. As the name suggests, these are engines with 2 cylinders, generally based on Harley-Davidsons, but much, much bigger. These bikes have a really distinctive sound. On tickover you can actually hear each separate cylinder firing. It's like a series of machine gun bursts. And what a burst of power down the track. A new machine out this year is the Super Twin of Ian Tuberville. Still really getting to grips with the machine. Didn't manage to get it down to the track at all for the first event, so he's hoping for more this time. We're looking at qualifying runs at the moment. He's up against Stefan Ivanovic from Holland. So good burnout from Ian, but don't expect a full pass on his first time out. Both bikes then come to the line. This is when the tension builds. And on the green, it's Stefan out in front, but he gets away offline and actually crosses the centre line, hitting the foam timing blocks as he goes. Ian sensibly shuts off the power and stays out of the way.
Well, at the Ultimate Power Championships, one of the classes that supported us right the way from day one has always been the National Association of Super Twins. Super Twins, well, they're motorcycles with 2 cylinders. Easy as that. And one of the men who's really got into the swing of Super Twins is Ian Turberville. And you have got an absolutely humongous new bike. Tell me a little bit about your new machine.
Well, it was... I never really planned to go this far. I just meant to creep up in stages and have fun.
I think that's what everybody says in track racing, don't they?
But as soon as I went to Nitro, then the Nitro bug bit deep, and I got addicted. It's just so much fun. And then at the same time, my friend and mentor Jim McClure from Williamsburg in Virginia died as the long-term result of a Nitro Harley racing accident. So I decided to build a tribute bike to Jim. So I went and bought a McClure chassis and a McClure engine and spent a year building the bike, which is named Mr. Spokehead, after Jim's internet persona.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about this bike, because its engine size is bigger than most small cars.
Yes, it's a V-twin, and it's 2,700 cc's. It's just a pushrod, normally aspirated engine, but it runs on 98% nitro, so it makes about 800 horsepower.
And transmission, again, is very unusual with what you've got here.
I don't need a transmission. I make that much power and torque. I just run a jack shaft, which is no transmission at all, and rely on clutch management, much like the big fuel cars do.
And so you just automatically pass through the clutches, the power onto the huge rear slick you've got here. What are your aspirations for this bike, Ian?
It's a big learning curve because it's a much bigger, more powerful bike than I've ever had before. But I'm going to enjoy learning. I want to take Adam Hewitt's record that's stood in Super Twins for 10 years now, far too long.
Which is?
7.22 at 184. I hope to do that this year, and then eventually get the bike into the 60s next year, gain some more support and sponsorship, and then compete in the UEM International.
Well, let's hope you achieve that. So we move into the final on the Sunday with Ian Turberville in the far lane facing Stefan Ivanovic in the near lane. So moving to stage, and the lights are upon us, and we wait. And the lights change, but yet more problems for Ian Turberville again. Stefan nearly crossing the centre line in the near lane. A bit later in the day, Ian finally managed to get his bike down the track. Just watch the way he veers over to the left. These bikes really are a handful. There you can see that veering over to the left. Right, taking a look at another of our sportsman classes. This is Super Gas, an index class which is based around 9.90 seconds. This means that you can't run faster than 9.90 seconds, otherwise you get disqualified, making for some very close racing at the top end. An awful lot of technology goes into the cars to make sure they run just at that time, and it also means that reactions are crucial. Mainly featuring door slammer cars, this class nevertheless features a wide range of body and engine options. So it's BMW in the near lane, and that in the far lane is the Chevy Nova of Brendan Clancy. Now, Brendan has been racing in this class for a very long time. And down they go. Fantastic run. Before the elimination started, we spoke to Brendan in the pits.
Okay, time now to talk to one of our super gas drivers, and we've come over to see Brendan Clancy, who drives this very clean, very straight Chevy Nova. Brendan, what attracted you to race in super gas?
Super gas is just such a close, competitive sport. There's no quarter given, no quarter taken, and everybody has to fight tooth and nail to win one round. Even if you win one round on super gas, it's like winning the championship round. It is very, very close, and that is the most important thing. If you win one round, you feel like you've achieved something, and it takes a lot. No one comes into super gas and wins in the first or even second or third year. It takes 3 or 4 years, maybe even 5 years to get close, and then maybe in the 6th year even to win a round. It is really competitive racing, and that's why that was one of my ultimate goals. If you win super gas, it's a very good achievement.
Now, the class is heads up, so it's first one to the finish line wins unless you run faster than 990. Now, do you have to run a throttle stop? Is this car capable of going a lot quicker than the class index?
Yes, almost all the cars have to run quicker than the index, and then run some form of stop. Whether it's a throttle stop, whether it's just a brake, lifting mid-track, various people do it various ways to keep this sport competitive, and also to keep all your other competitors guessing of what you're doing, because it's so competitive. No one wants to give away anything, so everybody's trying their best to outdo or outsmart the other guy. So it is a very good sport, our bracket to be in, I must admit.
So would you say that the secret is to keep a weather station, to keep an eye on the weather conditions and wind, and keep a good log of all your previous runs? Is that the real winning secret?
Yeah. You'll see one member of all the other cars taking in all the numbers, seeing what all your competitors are doing, whether their reaction time are good, whether they've broken, whether they're close to the index, way off the index. Everybody has little spies in the camp because it's purely so competitive. We were at the last meeting, there was 26 cars, and I think there was less than 1 second between 26 cars.
So there we have it then, one of the most scientific classes, everybody qualifying down to really into the thousandths, and it's so important to know your car, to know how you can get more power, take power out dependent on the weather conditions, whether there's going to be wind speed affecting, and how good the air is, how much oxygen's available. One really clever class.
So back to the action. It's not only door slammer cars, there's all styles in this class. The Chevy Camaro of John Evans and the Blitzkrieg Roadster of Tim Adam. It's close at the top, but the Roadster takes the win. Now there's a sight you don't see on the roads too often. A Ford Anglia driven very fast. It is, of course, the Anglia of Ron Bartlett. He's racing the Vauxhall Forenza of Matt Garland. And at the stripe, the Forenza takes it. So it's Ron then on his way home. Into the next round now, storming burnouts by Lee Pike's high-riding Chevy, coming up against Tim Adams' Roadster. They approach the line. The Chevy launches hard from the line. And at the end, it looks like he's taken it, but he's broken out. In other words, he's run faster than the 9.90 index, so the Roadster goes through. The Paul Marston Racing Chevy Monza in the far lane then, and the Vauxhall Forenza in the near lane. Almost an American and English version of the same car by the General Motors Group. But a red light for the Monza gives the win to the Forenza of Matt Garland. Next up then is Brendan Clancy, and he's on a bye run. Byes happen sometimes when a car breaks, and also when there is an uneven number of cars entered in the class. Either way, it gives Brendan a guaranteed passage into the semi-finals, where he's going to be meeting Tim Adam. And here is that semi-final. And as they leave the line yet again, Brendan is out in front, but the Roadster is charging hard. Has he done enough to catch him? Yes, he has! So Brendan is out! So the Roadster goes into the final, where he meets the Forenza of Matt Gatland. A great launch by both cars, neck and neck down the track. Anyone can take it. Even stood at the far end. You can't tell the cars apart on the finish line, but the winner is Matt. Well done to him.